Hot 97, DJ Drewski in the spot, and we got our special guest in the building. Today, it's all about this cannabis. You're a cannabis entrepreneur,
No doubt.
opening up your own dispensary in Jersey,
Yes, sir.
where you're from.
Yep.
So first off, congratulations on that. Bringing it back home to Jersey.
Man. Thanks. Hoboken, New Jersey.
Hoboken, New Jersey.
Specifically. I'm from Orange, New Jersey.
Right.
I'm working on Orange too, man. You know what I'm saying?
Really?
One day, hopefully, we'll get some in Orange for sure.
Is there a dispensary in Orange?
No, they opted out of the cannabis thing, but we working on it.
Got it.
Yeah.
But you got into Hoboken,
You got into Hoboken.
which I feel like it might have been a little difficult.
It was. It took 3 years. So, you know what I'm saying? So definitely had to stay patient. You couldn't give up. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of part of the process, especially when new states come online. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? A lot of times they leave it to like local jurisdiction to decide they want to opt in or opt out of these programs. You know what I'm
Got
saying?
it.
And Hoboken opted in, but even when you opt in as the mayor or whatever, now you got to get the community to sign off on it. And that took a little bit of time. You know, city council was very skeptical of bringing, cannabis, to the city. Because
Right.
if you know anything about Hoboken, I would say it's probably one of the safest places in New Jersey, right?
Right.
You know, I've never had anything bad happening in Hoboken. You know what I'm saying? So they were definitely concerned about that, like would crime increase? Would there be people trying to rob the dispensaries all the time and different things like that? So we was able to give them just a lot of facts, you know what I'm saying, from other states that have been through the same process and have had these same concerns.
Right.
And I think we maybe had about 4 or 5 different meetings, and I had to come and attend them in person, at least 2 of them, you know what I'm saying? Because that kind of town, they want to look you in the eyes and make sure you're not just BSing them, you know what I'm saying? Obviously,
Right.
When we first started the conversation, it was, at the tail end of COVID, so we had to do a couple, Zooms and stuff like that. But, the more we got them comfortable with it, they signed off, you know what I'm saying? So we'll be the 3rd dispensary in Hoboken.
Nice.
Currently. But none of them got Washington Street like we do.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We got like prime real estate and, obviously super excited, you know what I'm saying, to enter into the market.
Yeah, I don't think people understand how much goes into, what you do.
Yeah.
Right? Do you feel like, though, being a former NBA star has helped some of this process, right? Or they don't even look at you like...
Nah, it definitely helps sometimes, man.
Okay.
You get a chance to, you got a mayor that's in a town where nobody ever comes, right?
Right.
And then you have like an NBA player or, people with some type of status come to meet with you.
Right.
You're kind of excited about it. A lot of times they take that opportunity to also tell you like how much their town is growing and there's so much opportunity, you know what I'm saying, for other business, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? But, at the end of the day, you're right, man. It's not easy, you know what I'm saying? We make it look easy, but, it's extremely difficult. I will say that because we've been in the industry for so long and we've been kind of doing this already, I'm not going to say it makes it easier, but it's pretty much nothing
Right.
that we haven't seen before.
You
know what
have
I'm
the
saying?
experience.
We have the experience to answer all the questions, any of the information that they need. We probably have it in one of our drop boxes, you know what I'm saying? Like stuff like that. So from that perspective, you know what I'm saying, we can get things done a lot faster than, let's say, our competition. But
Right.
at the same time, we still got to go through all the hoops just like everybody else. You know what I'm saying? We can't ever short track the process. But like I said, since we have the experience and done it before, you know what I'm saying, we usually can, figure our way out of whatever situation that kind of arises.
Right. But do you feel like opening in Jersey has been a little bit more special to you personally than the other businesses?
Yeah, just because, I'm from Jersey, so, obviously all my friends are still here, right? And they're
Right.
always asking, when can I get some? And can you send me some? I'm like, nah, I can't send you none, bro. You know what
Right,
I'm saying?
right.
Like, you got to wait till we open up in Jersey, So now that I got a place that I can actually send people, that, is super dope. You know what I'm saying? So even like when the Viola brand came into the market 2 years ago, we had a partnership with a company called GTI or whatever. So they had stores and we was able to send people to those stores to buy Viola and buy
Right.
our Iverson brand, But now we're going to be able to send people to our own store, you know what I'm saying, which we're excited about. And, our store name is Village. You know what I'm saying? We named it that because, we've always felt like cannabis is, it curates, all these different ways of bringing people together in a community setting. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? So when you think about community and village, it's kind of the same thing, and that's something that we really harp on. It's like, using this plant to, uplift, educate, empower people, and especially of color, but also bringing people together of like minds. You know what I'm saying? And I always think about, like, I'm friends with so many people that I would have been friends with if it wasn't for a joint. You know what I'm saying? And literally created business opportunities and all kind of stuff because of it. You know what I'm saying? So that's the power of cannabis. You know what I'm saying? It's bigger than just getting high. It's like, you know, most people think, you know, from the stigma.
You're opening this Saturday, the grand opening.
Yes, sir.
DJ Drewski will be on the set.
At 12.
Right? So we're doing it big. Can anybody come out, or is it just invite only?
Anybody can come out. The address is 516 Washington Street, Hoboken, New Jersey. We'll be there from 10 to 6. You can pull up at any time, you know what I'm saying? Come get part of our rewards program, you know what I'm saying? We're going to be doing cool giveaways and stuff like that. Even the opportunity to go with me to a Knicks game.
Ooh, nice.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, cool, you know, stuff like promotions like that. And we really just want to, like I said, we just want to ingratiate ourselves in the community, let people know that when they come there, it's like home.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Right. And the biggest thing, too, when you come into our doors, we're going to educate you. You know what I'm saying? We're going to educate you about all the brands that we carry. The reason why we're going to do that is, one, because, one, you need to be educated. But, two, you know what I'm saying, our location is also going to offer delivery, right?
Oh,
and
nice.
We know that, obviously, the winter's coming. And a lot of people don't want to leave their homes.
Right, it starts snowing, it's cold out.
Yeah. And you can make an order online, you know what I'm saying? And we'll deliver right to you, you know what I'm saying? Same day type of thing. So, you know, just really excited just to really get people just to meet us and see what we all about. And, you know, I think that from our customer service, we're going to win a lot of people over.
Do you feel like this has been a lot more work than just being an NBA basketball player?
Oh, my God. Yo,
and is the payoff, do you feel like it's the same payoff?
Easiest money I ever make.
Right.
I tell like the young guys that's in the league, bro, that, you know, they like 30, like, man, I'm almost done. I'm like, bro, listen to what I'm trying to tell you.
Right.
Play until they kick you out, dog. It's the easiest money you'll ever make. You know what I'm saying? So, yes, being an entrepreneur in general is definitely harder than being an NBA player.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's way harder. You know what I'm saying? It's just different results. You know what I'm saying? Like, no matter if I go out and I miss 20 shots, I'm still getting paid.
Right.
You miss 20 shots in business, you out of business.
Right.
It's the same.
It's over. Are you still mentoring some of the younger players and the new guys?
Yeah, for sure,
in?
man. I'm mentoring guys, man. Me and my homeboy Jermaine O'Neal, we're starting a sports agency. Sports
the more work on your plate.
Yeah, more work.
Come on, Al.
But it's this one, this
like,
more
the
like
store's open.
Back.
Let's go.
Yeah, but this one more like a give back thing. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like, we have like a cool grassroots program in which, like, how we plan on, you know, working through our agency or whatever, because these kids need that information. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I think about, like, you know, the things that I know and, like, the veterans told me. You know what I'm saying? It sped up my process by 5-10 years in some cases. You know what I'm saying?
Do you still see, though, some of the young players getting taken advantage, even today in 2024, where there's been so many stories, your stories, people prior to you, everything's online, but they're still getting taken advantage?
Yeah, man, because, you know, a lot of times, like, you know, even though it's out there, they don't know it's out there. They don't know how to find it, right? If it's not a viral clip on, you know, it is or something, they don't know what's going on in the world. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, the other challenge for real is that, you know, a lot of these kids, you know, now you are starting to see more, like, you know, former NBA players' sons coming into the league.
Right.
So, but besides that, they're first generational wealth. Like, they're the first person in their family that probably ever even made $100,000. Now they make $1 million and multiple millions of dollars. So a lot of times it's tough to find people that you can trust. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times it's not just these guys just going out spending all their money. It's just that they don't have anybody that's in their corner to tell them, like, you know, you have to pay taxes on that, or you had to, you know what I'm saying? They thinking they got $100 million, they got $100 million to spend. You know what I'm saying? That ain't how it goes. You know what I'm saying? And then you have, like, untrustworthy, obviously, advisors and shit. We go, you know.
It gets deep.
It gets deeper than that. You know what I'm saying? But I think that these guys are, you know, taking it, especially because this NIL stuff in college and stuff, I think it is starting to make them realize that they are a business. And I think that because of the NIL stuff, I think that it will start to change that narrative for sure, because these guys are now starting to make money in college, have to manage that money. You know what I'm saying? Not like millions, right? So they got to manage that with some money, and, you know, hopefully, you know, they'll be able to, you know, leave out of college and get into some of these other business opportunities outside of just basketball.
Right. And speaking of mentoring, I don't know if this is really mentoring, but Lance Stevenson said you were the first person to buy him a pair of 7 jeans. Mm-hmm. Do you remember that?
I do. That was it. So I'm trying to remember how I met.
Like, I'm like, why would Al be buying
Yeah, we was out, and I met him out, and I was buying some clothes or whatever. And,
so you was blessed him, like
young gun, and he was on his way. He was coming,
right?
And once again, all of this stuff we all a brotherhood. You know what I'm saying?
Of course, so, that's that village. That's where the village.
That's where it all comes from. It's all about we got to be together, bro.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I got him some jeans. That's funny that he still remembers.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. His little things that people remember. Yeah. Like on they come up or just in general. Like,
right.
I'm like, why? I didn't even ask him the story. Like, what's the story behind him buying you a pair? And I don't think he even knew what 7 jeans were at the time.
Right. Yeah.
And you must have put them on, and then he felt like, oh, I'm lit now.
Yeah, I had to, man. Give him some exposure. He was on his way. You
know
what I'm saying? So it just made sense.
Shout out to Lance.
Shout out to
Lance. You gotta stop by the store this Saturday. We in Hoboken.
Let's pull up, man.
Speaking of players too, you do carry Iverson.
Correct.
In Village.
Yep. So we do carry Iverson. Iverson is our collab. I think our collab now. I think was it 2002, 21 when we first launched it. It's been unbelievable. You put his name on anything, it sells.
Right.
But the product is fire. We have a new strand called Bubba Chuck that we'll be introducing into the market probably top of the year. So excited about that. And we also got some other little stuff we're working on with him for some exclusive drops as well. So big shout out to AI, Bubba Chuck. We'll eventually do a pop-up with him at the store.
Right.
We'll probably wait till spring now just because the winter's coming or whatever. So he'll be there at some
get him
point.
To come
Everybody
down
can come in, get autographs, kick it with Chuck and try his new strain.
Right. So you introduced him to the whole cannabis world.
Yeah, bro. So we was playing Big 3. And, I've always just, always been heavy on brand building.
Right,
brands.
right.
And when I thought about, going to do a collab, I could have done it with anybody, but, doing something with AI is, iconic. You know what I'm saying? And it took me, it's funny how shit takes me a long time, but it took me, 2 years to convince him. To, do it. At first, he's like, man, I ain't put my name on no weed. And
does he even
talking to him.
Smoke?
So he has tried his strands,
right,
or whatever. And he's like, man, this shit too strong, man. I need to. So you know what I'm saying. The fact that it's too strong for him, he won't smoke it as much. But all his family does. You know what I'm saying, his entire circle. You know what I'm saying. Everybody always smoking Iverson, but he loved what we did with the brand. You know what I'm saying. I think that at the end of the day, he's extremely happy the way we represented him. You know what I'm saying, in the cannabis market. You know what I'm saying. It came out, I feel like, with class.
Right.
And then we made sure that the product was at the level of somebody with his name and stature. You know what I'm saying? So it's been a super success.
Speaking of product, and you could break it down because you're more knowledgeable, but I see people buying weed different places, right? Mm-hmm. Can you explain the levels of product and how cannabis works? Right?
So the cannabis plant has cannabinoids, and the cannabinoids is pretty much what creates a lot of the effects. You know what I'm saying, within your body.
Gotcha.
So a cannabis plant that's high in myrcene, that's like an indica strand, right? That's something that's gonna knock you out. Limonene is more of a sativa, right?
Got it.
More like an upper. And then you have right now at one point it was 76 cannabinoids. Now we think that it's almost 200 and something different cannabinoids within the plant that when you really break them down, isolate them, they can help with all these different, kind of ailments.
Right.
A lot of times people buy strands off just the THC percentage. So if it's 30%, they think it's gas is going to knock them out. That's not really true. That's somewhat of a myth. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of different things that go within that strand that was grown that will give you, multiple effects. So a lot of times it comes through the terpenes. What terpenes are most prevalent, in that plant.
Right.
So, a lot of, some people are now, they want weaker weed, they want the really high weed or whatever. So, you got different strains out there that, kind of do it all. You got to find what's good for you, And a lot of times I hear a lot of people that have tried weed at one point or cannabis at one point, and they're like, oh, it made me feel this way. I'll never try it again, And I'm like,
you smoked
maybe
the wrong stuff.
That was just the wrong stuff. And I try to relate it to liquor, right?
Right.
So
right.
I don't like vodka.
Right.
I mean, liquor bad, or I shouldn't drink liquor, right? I just should not drink vodka.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But I like Patron. You know what I'm saying? And I like not Patron. I like tequila. Excuse me. And tequila. I like whiskey. You know what I'm saying? So I think cannabis is the same thing. You got to go find the journey. Find what's good for you. Because there's something out there for you for sure. You just got to be willing to take the journey.
But everyone's not smoking gas.
Everybody's not smoking gas.
Because you in the club, they're like, I only smoke gas. I'm like, I don't know if that's...
They don't know. I mean, once again...
Because there is a difference, but it takes someone like you who really...
There's a difference, but then you got illicit, or just say we're gonna call it gray market weed, and then you got legal weed, right?
Got it.
Difference between those two obviously is illicit or gray market is not tested. So you don't know what the hell's in it.
Right.
You
So
know
you
what
don't
I'm saying?
recommend that.
I don't recommend it. No.
Got it.
You know what I'm saying? I don't recommend it now because especially when we look at like kids passing out with the fentanyl and all these different things that they just put in, you just don't know what's in it because you're getting it off the street. You know what I'm saying? I'm not knocking street hustlers, you know what I'm saying, because I value them. They all my partners. They my
Of course.
And most of the guys that I know, they do it the right way, right? They're not lacing or, just buying and putting anything.
Right.
But, most are. You know what I'm saying? So because of that, that's why I think dispensaries are so important because now you know what
regulated.
It's regulated, it's safe, it's tested. I mean, seriously, you could be smelling gas and calling it gas, and it could have butt rot. It could be like,
right.
It could have mold, like all kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Because you don't know what.
Because you just don't know.
But
maybe even, and sometimes your dealer don't know. You know what I'm saying?
Where he's getting it from.
He's getting it from somebody else, and they gave it to him. You know what I'm saying?
Right. It's just a lot of risk in it.
Just a lot of risk in it, man.
You hear that debate, like, nah, I'd rather not even go to the dispensary because that weed is not getting me high. I'm like, I just don't think you know what you're smoking.
Oh, you just not. Yeah, you're not getting good weed. You know
right.
What I mean? And every all weed in dispensaries aren't great weed either.
Of course.
Because some of these growers are new to growing in regulated markets. So, like on the non-compliant side, like you can grow with all kind of different chemicals to, sometimes make your plant look a certain way, huge your buds, different things like that. Right. But on the legal side, you can't use none of those, chemicals, So you're gonna have a different experience with the weed. You know what I'm saying? So, and when people are learning to grow not that way in this new way, it just takes them some time to get it together. You know what I'm saying? So you just got to be patient with the industry as well. Like, when New York just launched, all the stuff was boo-boo. Then the first
it's going to take a while.
8 months. Now, like I went to the dispensary the other day, I seen like 2 things in there that was like, okay, all right, they're starting to get it together. Right. They're starting to figure it out. You know what I'm saying? So you just got to be a little patient as these new markets come online.
Yeah. And I just want to talk about it because for people to realize you're educated on it. You understand it. You know it. And if you are opening up your own dispensary, it's only gonna be gas, and you know what I'm saying.
Like, I'm happy you brought that up, man, because that's one of the things that we feel like is gonna be different for ours. Like all of our brands are gonna be like handpicked by our team.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And we consider ourselves cannabis connoisseurs. You know what I'm saying? So our idea, at Viola now, these stores are called Village, but still Viola's still part of the ethos of it, right? And for everything that we put in the Viola package, we always say it got to be grandma approved. You know what I'm saying? Grandma smoked the gas. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like she smoked the best of the best.
As a kid, you remember your grandma smoking?
No, my grandmother never. Because
Viola's
smoked.
Based on your grandma.
Yeah, right. So right. My grandmother never smoked until 2011.
Wow.
And I had her try cannabis because she was complaining about her glaucoma pain.
Right.
And when I first told her what cannabis was, marijuana, weed, she looked at me and was like, "Reefer? Boy, you think I'm about to smoke some reefer for my eyes?" The whole thing. But the next day we talked about it a little bit more. She was open enough to try because she was in pain. I went to go check on her an hour and a half later, and she was downstairs crying, reading her Bible. So it was the first time she read the words of her Bible in over 3 years. You know what I'm saying? So that means something. Her name means a lot in my family legacy. There's times when, the marketing got a little aggressive with stuff, and my aunt would call them, but you think grandma would approve of that?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So literally everything is grandma approved. You know
when you use grandma's name, does the family now want a piece of the pie?
Nah, they don't want a piece of the pie. They just want
like
product.
Al using grandma's name, he better break us off.
Yeah, they just want product.
Okay, as long as they get product, they happy.
As long as they get product, they cool with it.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, when you was young, if you was smoking weed, it was a bad thing, like for us, right? Grandma would look at it like, no, that's the devil. Like, we don't do that. You being a parent now, a father, they still young, but if they 18, 19, like, Dad, I want some Viola. Is it different now, like the thinking?
Yeah, I mean, for me, like, now that I know, and I've talked to so many people, like sane people, like really smart people that have told me, like, they use cannabis at a young age. You know what I'm saying? Because obviously, once again, another stigma, and it's not a stigma, it's really the truth, right? Like, kids' brains are still developing until they're like 20-something, 21, it's in range 24 to 25 years old, depending on who you talk to. Right. So allegedly, cannabis can slow up that process, right? I know a lot of brilliant people that told me they've been smoking since they were like 12, 13, 14, 15 years old. You know what I'm saying? So I think that it's probably a case-by-case kind of thing. for me as a parent, what I had to do, and I was kind of forced into it when I moved to California in 2014. I think it was maybe 2015, 16. I was in my courtyard and my daughters, I looked up, they were looking out the window watching me smoke. And they came downstairs and they like, Dad, we don't want you to smoke, we want you to get cancer. They got smoking a cigarette. So it opened up the opportunity for me to tell them like what I did. And, told them about cannabis, and I told them about the medicinal side. I told them that it wasn't for them and different things like that. So my girls are, one is 14, one's 13 now.
That's the age where you start experimenting.
They're in 8th grade, and they come home all the time like, these kids was vaping and this kid.
Right.
So I've gotten into a point where it's normal, but it's also a thing where they kind of know it's not for them yet.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? They're willing to have, and that's one thing I just tell parents, right? It's like, the more you keep away from your kids, the more you can leave it out of your control to control the narrative, and they can just go and do it on their own. You know what I'm saying? So I've created a process with my kids where, like, we can talk to them, they'll talk to us about anything, and I'll talk to them about anything. Nothing's off the table. You know what I'm saying? Because the world we live in, because of the phone, they're exposed to everything. You can't keep them away from nothing now because of the phone. You know what I'm saying? So you got to find a way to get ahead of that. So that's what I've been able to do with cannabis. And now, I have boys 8 and 6, or 8 and 7 today. My little man just turned 9 and 7, excuse me. And he'll tell you the Viola story. He's 7 years old.
Right.
My grandma and this, her eyes was messed up.
I'm sure for you, it makes you excited.
He'll tell you his 6-year-old, 7-year-old version of the story. You know what I'm saying? So I just say, I would say I took the position of owning it. You know what I'm saying? It's a part of our family. It's a part of my lifestyle. So I wanted to include my kids and let them know what it is, but also let them know that it's not for them. But if you do want to try it, holler at me first.
Right.
Let's just have a conversation about it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And, I'll probably, depends on the situation, but, my kids play sports, but if they weren't playing sports and they just going to college and, regular, want to be an accountant and all that, I might let them hit it. You know what I'm saying? But athletes and stuff, like, nah, we're going to wait. You know what I'm saying? But I think it's a case-by-case thing.
What is the whole cannabis situation in sports today? Is it still a big deal? Like, are athletes allowed to smoke now?
Yeah, all 4 major sports in the United States now have cannabis is off of their ban list. So that's cool, yeah. So now they can all use cannabis any way they like. You know what I'm saying? Most use it. I would say a majority. Everybody use it after
right.
practices and stuff like that. I don't think guys are like showing up to the field or to the court. You know what I'm saying? It don't even make sense to do that.
Right.
And
as a professional, when you're a professional athlete, you know how to move.
That's what I said. That was always my argument. I'm just like, they have access to liquor, so why they not taking 4 shots before the game?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They like the way liquor make them feel too, So, and to your point, I'm just like, we're all professionals. You know what I'm saying? We know we got to show. I'm just not getting high and having to guard, Kevin Durant.
Right. Did you ever do some knucklehead stuff when you was playing? Like, ever get in trouble for something?
Nah, man, I was squeaky clean.
Oh, you was okay.
I had a good upbringing. I've just always known, like, I'm old school from the standpoint of, like, kind of stay out the way.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, try not to put all your business on Instagram. Like, I'd rather be in the room and moving with silence than, making the most noise. So so because of that, I feel like I was able to, like, navigate my career and, not have no issues.
Clean.
Yes, sir.
And he came out of St. Pat's. Shout out to Elizabeth.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying?
St. Pat's High School. Legends was made.
Right. Yeah, you just broke down a list. You was telling me names. I'm like, wow, it's a lot of people out of
we
St.
had a bunch
Pat.
of pros. Yeah, Kevin Boyle did a good job. We down at Mount Verde Academy. But our most famous St. Pat's guy is Kyrie Irving.
Just out of Jersey, because the other day we was in a pizza shop and we ran into, what's his name?
Jalen Brunson.
Oh, Jalen Brunson. And I didn't know he was from Jersey.
Oh, okay. Yeah, right. He from, like, T-Neck or something.
No,
right?
he from New Brunswick, like
Cherry
Hill.
Hill.
Or
Yeah,
something.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was like, wow, there's a lot of talented people coming out of Jersey.
There's a lot of dudes come out of Jersey. Obviously the old, like, Tim Thomas, David West.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? He from Jersey. He from T-Neck, I think, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, we got a bunch of dudes with Kyle Anderson, Nas Reed. Yeah, so there's a lot of Jersey talent.
Right.
Sure.
Listen, all my Jersey heads, make sure you pop out this Saturday. Village,
sir.
Hoboken.
Village.
One more time, what's the address?
Yo, pull up to the Village, 516 Washington Street, Hoboken, New Jersey.
Yeah, we got to celebrate not just the whole cannabis situation, but celebrate you too. You know what I'm saying? For me, it's like, this is a big deal, and we got to celebrate accomplishments like this. So
I appreciate
shout out to Al Harrington in the building. High 97, DJ Drewski. We here, Al. Tell them your Instagram too, so they could.
Instagram is at Al Harrington 3, and the brand is at Viola, Viola, And then the store is at village_Hoboken.
It is. Let's get it.